Good morning. I hope you had a great weekend. I know this weather makes it really difficult to wake up early, but it's going to be a great week, and we've got the PSAT on Thursday. So let's get started. So there's some new things on our course page. You're going to notice these buttons at the top. In case you need additional tutoring for after hours questions, like for example, for your timed writing, your outline that is due tomorrow, if you need immediate assistance with that, and I'm not available, between the hours of 6 p.m. and 10 p.m., you can click on that tutoring form and complete it, and anybody would be able to help you. There are certified Northside teachers for every single content, including AP and AP Dual. So if you fill that out, one of our teacher tutors will contact you, and they can set up a private Zoom where you can get one-on-one help every single day from 6 to 10, and that goes for any subject. Then our daily Zoom link will be here. Your password is there for you, and then anytime we go into AP Classroom, those links are there for you. I'm messing around a little bit with these buttons, so they may or may not change, but I wanted to try these out and see how these work for us. I also try to clean up some of these things down here. So a lot of extra information was put into this important info folder, so all the remind codes and all of that stuff, all that will be in there. And then, of course, I have our grading cycle assignments. So anything from that first marking period are in here. And then I'm starting over again, obviously, with last week and then this week. So in week 2, it's the same thing. You have your week at a glance, and then we're going to get into Monday's assignments. So remember that your outline is due tomorrow. So if you have questions on that and you have conferences this week, I'm happy to go over that with you. But if you'd rather use the time to catch up or to work through your outlines, that's fine. But next week, conferences will not be optional, as we will be going over your essay scores from this week. So I want us to look at this rubric before we look at the example. And this rubric, seems kind of complicated, but it's really not. So there are 3 categories. Row A is all about your thesis, which we've talked about at length, right? We said that in order to earn this point, it needs to make sure that you analyze the writer's rhetorical choices. Okay, and if you don't, and all you do is simply kind of discuss the purpose, then you will not earn that thesis point. Okay, so for the majority, as long as you do the things I've asked for you to do, you're more than likely going to be able to earn that point. This is a give me point. However, if you're not really working through your thesis statement and actually specifying those choices, right? We can't just say the choices itself. We actually have to involve the purpose or whatever it is that the prompt is asking for. So there are the descriptors there for you again, in case you need to look at it. Then you have the commentary, and that is worth 4 points on its own out of 6. So this is the criteria, okay? If you don't offer any evidence, okay, at all, or maybe it is irrelevant to whatever it is that you are discussing, you will earn 0 points, okay? That means you're just simply restating the thesis or repeating the information maybe in the opening paragraph, or you might, like I said, be using something that has absolutely nothing to do with your thesis statement, or just provide opinions and never substantiate it with any sort of text evidence whatsoever. To earn 1 point, you tend to focus on summary, and this is something that we talked about on Friday, especially if you were in our Zoom meetings, that we tend to describe or summarize our evidence rather than focusing on, number 1, the rhetorical choices, or 2, discuss how any of that information connects back to any of your claims. So again, if you're just kind of putting in text evidence and you're kind of just telling me what's going on in the text evidence, that tells me nothing about how it's supporting your claim or how all of that reinforces your thesis statement. So responses that will earn 2 points for commentary are a mix of specific and broad examples, meaning it's inconsistent. So some of your examples might be simplistic. You might make 1, maybe 2 points well, but you don't really support them or tie them back to the claims. Or you just simply don't explain connections. You provide, an insightful, observation about a rhetorical choice in the evidence, but then there's nothing else to connect back to claims or purpose. So therefore, a line of reasoning is not established because you're simply pointing out one minor detail within the evidence and not necessarily situating it within the bigger picture. Responses that earn a 3 are uniform, okay, which is what our outline was supposed to do for you and help you organize those thoughts. It focuses on the importance of specific words and details from the passage to build an argument. It organizes a line of reasoning because there are multiple supporting claims, which is why we had you draft 2. Your commentary may fail to integrate some of the evidence, but ultimately the intentions were there, right? There was a good faith attempt. But even if there were some paragraphs where you provided more evidence versus others, there was still that uniformity in being able to provide commentary to tie back that information to your claims and your thesis statement. And then 4 has all the same components of 3's. Sorry, wait for that. However, if you look at this third bullet point right here, it says it's comprised of multiple supporting claims, each with adequate evidence that is clearly explained. So this one says, okay, you may fall short a little bit, you made a good faith attempt, but this one is everything is intentional. And then when you look at the word choices up here, right, these are very similar. Explains how some of the evidence supports a line of reasoning, consistently explains how the evidence supports a line of reasoning. And that line of reasoning is basically that justification about how these choices do whatever it is that you said in your claim statement that reinforce the purpose. Think about that flow chart. Okay, so note down here, writing that suffers from grammatical or mechanical errors that interfere with communication cannot earn the 4th point. So even though you have amazing ideas, right, and you're consistently doing the things, if it is difficult to understand whatever it is that you are trying to say because you lack punctuation or the spelling is almost incoherent, even though we can infer, then that means you'll earn 3 out of 4, but there's no way that you can earn the 4 because there's more inferencing and effort on the reader versus what is able to be conveyed on the paper. Okay, so then it says also to earn the 4th point in this row, the response may observe multiple instances of the same rhetorical choice. So if you wanted to just talk about rhetorical questions in your essay, but you look at it in multiple perspectives and the way that they're situated, that's fine. You're using one rhetorical choice, but you're doing more with less, and you're looking at it from multiple lenses. You can still earn 4 points of commentary with only, 1 or 2 rhetorical choices that you're discussing. But again, you have to look at multiple supporting claims, each with adequate evidence, right? And that wouldn't be the same pieces of evidence. That means you'd have to be able to find that one rhetorical choice multiple times throughout whatever passage you're discussing. And then we get to this drastic sophistication point, which everybody hates because it's very difficult to obtain. So if you've done a really great paper and it's organized, and you have, all your boxes that you've checked off, that doesn't guarantee you're going to earn a sophistication point. Okay, so here's what does earn the point. If you're looking at the relevance of the writer's choices, given the rhetorical situation, you're situating it in the bigger picture. It's the so what of these choices, right? And how they tie back to this bigger understanding of whatever the situation is. This one talks about explaining a purpose or function of the passage's complexities or tensions in life, right? So those of you that think about unnatural death, right? Yeah, he's, a research pathologist and he has all this knowledge, but if you situate his argument in the big picture about everybody and what's complex about the human condition, that is what's going to earn you the sophistication point, right? Employing a style that is consistently vivid and persuasive, not to be confused with this bottom point, which we'll talk about. So it says essentially you demonstrate sophistication of thought or a complex understanding of the situation. Doesn't matter how many large vocabulary words you use or how long your sentences are. It doesn't matter. It's about your thinking. Do you really truly understand the rhetorical situation? Do you understand the bigger significance about what it means to be human and how this passage works through any of those tensions, right? What can you contribute to this conversation now based off of your analysis, right? That's essentially what that's looking at. So it's not on the left-hand side, right, where you're oversimplifying the complexities in this passage, where we talk about, well, it's good choices and bad choices. Okay, yeah, we get that, but that's oversimplifying what that means, okay? And then using complicated or complex sentences, that is ineffective because it doesn't enhance the analysis. So if you know what the word mitochondria is, doesn't matter because it's ineffective because it doesn't relate to anything that you're talking about. Okay, so again, it tells you right here, it's not just one particular sentence or reference that is sophisticated, but it is consistently sophisticated in terms of their complex understanding that is evident in your argument. Okay, and that's tough to do. That's why it's a frustrating point. But you can tell right here where you're going to earn the majority of your points is within this commentary piece. So this is why we spent a lot of time looking at body paragraph structure and making sure we had all of that fully pre-written, so that way when we come down to writing the timed writing piece, we have a solid thesis because that is our direction. And now we have looked at all of the details and evidence and choices within that because that is really where we're going to get the most of, or the biggest bang for our buck. Okay, I hate that phrase, but that's kind of the best way I can think of to describe it. So you have this rhetorical analysis example essay, and it is color-coded for you by body paragraph, so you can look at the claim, the context for the evidence, how the evidence is woven in there, and then the yellow in commentary. And you can see that that is repeated, right? That is all one body paragraph, and that was with all three of the pieces of evidence that were given to you in your sample outline, okay? And then the same thing here for this next body paragraph. So read through this, okay? Make sure that you, if you have any questions that you ask, but a lot of this has been discussed with you. It's taken straight from the outline. You can tell how obviously there were some adjustments as we go through it, but ultimately I would say that this essay would be a solid 5, most likely a 6, depending upon the reader. So this is a solid example, okay? If you're able to print it out, I would, or have it up in a new tab while you're completing your outline and help you figure out how you want to structure your argument and make sure you have everything in there that you need in order to make sure you earn as many points as you can in the commentary section. So your attendance question for today is just based off of you looking at the rubric and the sample essay. What is one thing an AP student must do in order to score well on the rhetorical analysis essay? And that's it. That's all you're needing to submit for today, and then use the rest of the time to get your stuff in order because tomorrow you will have a timed essay that will be submitted to turnitin.com. So make sure you plan ahead during your class time that you will reserve all 50 minutes toward that essay. All right, I look forward to seeing you guys on Zoom. Remember, tomorrow is an asynchronous day because we are completing our essays, okay? Reach out to me if you have questions, and I hope you have a great day.